Recently, Childish posted a video titled, "Is this update enough for Summoner's War to survive?" I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out, along with any other links I use in this video. In Childish's video, he asked the question.
Let me know your honest opinion. What's the one thing that Comptos needs to do for this game to survive?
I left a comment to participate in the conversation, but thought it'd be a good opportunity to make a video to discuss my thoughts on this topic in a little more detail. This isn't the first time this question has been posed. I've seen comments about how the game is dying for years now, even as far back as 4 years ago. Sean B had a recent "Why do we still play" video. Jew Bagel has an understandable mental breakdown after every balance patch.
It's almost like they're trolling us. Like, the only thing that I'm thinking after this balance patch is, okay, well, I guess I'll just wait another 4 months for the next one.
Despite all of this, I think Kane Redfield made a great point on one of these posts. He said, "If anything, 2020 has made the game way better and prolonged Summoner's War's lifespan. I'm loving this year. Compare the game to the end of 2019, and it's exponentially better than it used to be." And I couldn't agree more. The game is exponentially better than when I started playing 7 years ago. With auto farming, B12 dungeons, new players being able to progress absurdly faster than they used to, auto farming, artifacts, new monsters, auto farming, secondary awakenings, dimensional predator, new special siege towers, auto farming. I really love auto farming. The point is, Come To Us has slowly but surely implemented new content and quality of life improvements that have significantly improved the game. Anyways, in this video, I'll answer both Childish and Sean B's question and discuss my thoughts on how Come To Us can continue to improve the game and anything else surrounding the topic. To answer Childish's question, I really don't think there's any one particular update that can save Summoner's War. I think any MMO these days requires constant updating, both in balance and in content. If a game quit updating entirely, it would get stale pretty quick. There needs to be somewhat scheduled balance patches to change the meta every so often, and new content needs to be released so there's more novelty and variety into the game. Any game that wants to last a long time just needs to do this. To answer Sean's question of why I still play this game, there's a few reasons. First and foremost is the people that play it. I love my guild and the people in it. I enjoy conversations with people in general chat too. One of my guildies recently told me that Summoner's War is his favorite chatting app, and I completely agree. I thoroughly enjoy keeping up with these guys and playing together on a daily basis. Aside from the people, I still very much enjoy the game itself. It's, of course, far from perfect, and after 7 years, much of it is stale, but I still have so much more room for improvement and have a strong desire to be better at Siege, RTA, and even Arena Rush, which I've held off because I don't have Samoth, but the moment I pull Samoth, I'll try rushing it again. Lastly is the fact that I just work a ton. I used to play a wider variety of games, but they require 100% of your attention when you play them, and farming Summoner's War requires almost no attention, so especially with auto farm, which is why I will always consider it the best update ever. Plus, I'll be honest and say I'm sure I'm totally addicted, like on a neurological level. I'm certain there are worse addictions out there, so as long as I'm not spending my life savings on this game or falling behind in my personal or work life, I don't see any particular need for me to quit playing as long as I still enjoy the game. If I get to a point where I'm not enjoying the game or falling behind in my life outside the game and still playing all day every day, then I would probably need to address that addiction. With those questions answered, let's move on to things I'd like ComToast to implement or update that I think would greatly improve the game. During this discussion, if I have nothing else to show, I'll show some action from recent Sieges or RTA matches. So first off, Siege season rankings need to be addressed. With the current system, rank is a social construct, which is a phrase I first heard from Alpha Enderman over at Swag, and it's unfortunately true. A guild's ability to make it to the tournament relies heavily on the matchups of their last few matchups, which makes the rest of the season almost meaningless. Imagine an NBA team goes 73-9 for the season, but doesn't make it to the playoffs because they lost their last 3 games. This can happen in the current system. The only ranks that are truly legitimate in the system are the top 2, maybe the top 4. Even the top 2, really, if SSA and Mali were to match up with each other in their last 3 or 4 matches and they got second and third because they were just going at each other, they could see themselves out of the tourney too. It's just very easy for what should be like the true number 5 guild to finish outside the top 20, and that's just really sad. If you think I'm being salty or don't believe me for whatever reason, just a quick example, my guild finished tied for rank 63 with 7 other guilds at 1,443 points. So first off, why are 8 guilds tied with one another? Are they all 8 truly equal to merit this rank? Additionally, only a single point higher at 1,444 are 6 guilds tied at rank 57. One of these guilds, Kineta, is who we played against in our most recent 1v1 siege, and this is how it went. We even ran mostly one-man defenses, so as many of us could get a chance to attack as possible before the siege ended. Now, this isn't in any way me like attacking Kineta or trying to demerit their final rank. I'm sure they had a great season, and I'm not naive to the fact that 1v1 sieges will have very different results than the usual, 3-guild free-for-all format. This example is trying to highlight the fact that there is an obvious power discrepancy between our two guilds, and this happens at all ranks of siege outside the top 2. Again, maybe the top 4. What could Come to Us do about it? Tom to Us. That's an interesting one. One of the most obvious fixes is to simply widen the gap between the amount of points guilds receive for first, second, and third place. This, in theory, should mitigate the possibility of multiple guilds tying at a particular rank and get guilds closer to the rank they should be at. This doesn't address the issue of 2v1s, however, so let's discuss that next. In Island Grown's most recent podcast, he mentions that Come to Us is actually in favor of 2v1s.
I mean, Come to Us did actually address that, and what they ended up saying, that's what war is about. It's not always fair, right? That's war, right?
That is true.
I was not aware of this at all. In fact, when I originally wrote the script, I wrote that Come to Us should let us know if it's something that they want built into the system or not. But anyways, I'm glad I watched the podcast and highly recommend it to anyone who's interested on the subject, because it was a great conversation. I've always thought Come to Us has needed to address or at least define cheating. There's been arena and RTA boosting, bot farming, 2v1s and sieges. Throughout the years, players have cheated or abused loopholes to get ahead, so much so that you need to do it yourself to be on an even playing field. I don't know if, like 2v1s, all these things are like intentionally built into the system, because Come to Us thinks it adds some layer of strategy to the competition, but I find it odd, to say the least. I'd love to know what y'all think about all this, if you think it's something that needs to be prevented altogether, or if you like it as is, or what. I know Foxy always pointed out arena boosting as an issue, and I'm unaware if Come to Us has ever addressed the topic or, given their position on it. I'm just ignorant on their position because I don't pay attention to their notices all the time. But with that said, if they were to try to fix it, I'm not sure how to. I don't think boosting and botting are particularly easy to fix. I could be wrong, though. If it isn't fixable in like their coding, maybe it is with punishment. Like if you get caught, then instant ban or something to deter people from doing it. 2v1s in Siege should be easier to address. The easiest thing would just be to get rid of the free-for-all format and completely just have the 1v1 sieges. I'm not sure how popular of an idea that would be, especially with how quick 1v1 sieges are over. So like if you're in a bad time zone, you just are screwed, because those sieges can end in like the first 5 hours. So don't get a chance to attack. It's just like sucks to suck. Another potential fix would just be to force split the amount of attacks you are allowed to do onto each guild. So you could split it 50-50, or if not exactly 50-50, maybe like 60-40. So 2 guilds can't just use all of their attacks on one particular guild. I don't know, but we'll move on. So I'm a huge fan of the new special towers on Siege, but wish they were more impactful. The stats change tower, for example, is just very meh. I'm sure there are tons of different special towers that can be implemented to add some variety to the Siege defense meta that is historically one of, if not the most exclusive area in the game. Only 2 special towers throughout the Siege just seems a bit low. I don't see any particular reason why they couldn't go higher, and I hope they do add some more variety to the conditions. They could limit specific runes, make it mono element, negate all passives, negate all skill 2s, and just so much more. I'm sure they can get creative with these, and hope they do, because I think they're a lot of fun and can potentially add a lot more variety to Siege. Next thing is something I think would be a major quality of life improvement that I'm sure Come to Us would never actually implement, but a guy can dream. It's rune loadouts. So when you pick a monster into anything, you can choose to have it with a preset rune and artifact build. Maybe like 3 rune loadouts per monster in both RTA and PvE. Knowing Come to Us, they never actually do this, since it would make dupes for RTA unnecessary and thus have some kind of minor effect on their pocketbooks. But I think it would be incredibly convenient to have monsters available for any particular situation, especially in RTA. So if they draft Ragdoll, you can draft your low crit rate build for your Sierra. If they draft Gianna, you can draft your non-will build for Diana, that kind of thing. Right now, only people with the luxury of dupes can do this, but rune loadouts would unlock that luxury for everyone. Implementing this would have its challenges on the dev team, I'm sure, but I think it's certainly doable. As many others have suggested, rune crafting shouldn't drop 5-star runes anymore. This should have been fixed alongside the B12 update, since B12 dungeons made crafting just instantly obsolete. With essentially an endless supply of 6-star blue runes now available to anyone, it's just silly to be rewarded anything below that. I can understand the difference between crafting runes and farming dungeons is you get to choose the specific type of rune you want to craft, which is obviously better than the RNG in the dungeons, but it doesn't really merit getting something completely useless. If Come to Us is concerned with this being like too OP, I think they can just simply increase the amount of materials required to craft them, or create like a new tier of high level runes. They could even go further to guarantee a 6-star legend craft with just a ton of materials, but currently it's like hardly worth using your crafting materials. Next is more impactful balance patches. Again, I don't think this is a particularly easy task with the hundreds of different monsters and areas of gameplay, but it's it's just sad to have so many different monsters in the game and only a small handful actually see play. I'm sure balances are a no-win scenario for Com2uS. So many people play this game and all those people enjoy different parts of the game. So no matter what Com2uS does, there's going to be people that are mad. As a Dolphin that's been playing for 7 years without any LD5, I can't imagine someone like me actually getting a coveted LD5 only for it to be a storage guardian. If the rates for so many of these monsters are going to be as low as they are, thus expensive to obtain, then they need to, at the very least, be useful. Give some monsters a niche role, make some OP, really do anything more than the last patch, which I think was unanimously considered super lame. Speaking of not having an LD, I think either increasing the drop rates of everything or give us more better rewards everywhere, or some combination of both would improve audience retention to some extent. Lots of people have suggested a mileage system on Childish's video, which I thought was a great idea, to show some players some mercy for their bad luck. Basically, it would be that if you meet some sort of criteria, then you're guaranteed a nat 5. Like if you summon X scrolls without a 5-star, then you're guaranteed a nat 5 on your next summon. I actually saw a conversation in general chat on this topic recently, and a lot of people pointed out the flaws of a mileage system, which made me more hesitant to be completely in favor for it. For one, it incentivizes whaling more since you're guaranteed a nat 5, right? So whales will just push really hard to meet that criteria, whatever it is. Second, not long after the mileage system takes effect, will you genuinely see everyone pick the same things in RTA? And that's something people kind of already complain about, but imagine if everyone genuinely owned 100% of meta units. It's likely we'll see even less variety in RTA drafts. Additionally, you can only go so far with buffing rates or a mileage system before rewards begin to lose their meaning and value. If half of players own Gianna, then summoning her wouldn't be as glorious. The fact that so few people have her, coupled with her being one of the best monsters in the game, is what makes her so coveted. I think a mileage system is certainly a popular idea, but just because an idea is popular doesn't mean it's a good one. The main thing a mileage system fixes is the saltiness levels of players like myself, who have played for a long time and are still missing key units or have never summoned an LD5. I think the more important issue for audience retention is decreasing the gap between whales, dolphins, casual spenders, free-to-play, and especially new players. In order to keep the game alive, one of the best things Com2uS could do is get new players not only into the game, but retain their attention. If they start playing and realize it'll take them a year before they can even begin to attempt having any kind of success in PvP, they'll likely quit way before then. In the Island Grown podcast, someone suggested a dungeon team pack for new players. So like $100 pack could instantly give you a dragons team. It could even be like a 3-minute average time team or something, but it would be a means for new players to skip a grueling step of the game. And I'm 100% certain people would buy it. But anyways, Com2uS has done versions of, buffing rates in the past by implementing B12s, for example. They gave us something more difficult to do, which merited better rewards. One of the only areas in the game where higher difficulty merits the same rewards is 2A hard, which is just silly. They just recently added the all attribute legend scroll as its final prize, which is nice, but they should really buff the rewards for TOA hard. They could give, 270 stones per floor, or double all of the rainbow wands and crystals and scrolls that you get, or just change up the rewards entirely. But it's just odd that the higher difficulty would give you almost the same exact thing. Even more strange that it's like the only area of the game where that happens, except for like maybe world boss, where it seems the rewards are just completely random no matter what your score is. I really think summoning rates for mysticals and legends are probably fine where they're at, but if they rewarded us more of them in the form of events, buffing TOA rewards, buffing siege and labyrinth boxes, or any creative means of just simply giving us more scrolls to summon, I think people would appreciate it. Next is 4-star devils, which, come to think of it, may or may not be necessary if they just gave us a crap ton more scrolls, but currently they would be very helpful. If not 4-star devils specifically, then like a monthly 4-star skill up event to couple with HOH, that would be great. But I think Com2uS can make some decent money selling 4-star devils in packs. After 7 years, I've recently said screw it and just deviled my Fuki and Karkino, since they're currently necessary to run on siege defense if you want any kind of success. None of my 5-stars really are worth devils at the moment, and I like to use my resources more than just store them, so I thought, what the heck. 2A monster skill up events would be kind of cool too, or just combine it with the 4-star skill up event, so when we can choose to use the reward, we can choose to use it on our 2A monsters if we want to. But that's not as necessary as 4 stars, because most 2A monsters I think can function well without skill ups. whereas most 4-star monsters need skill ups to be, even remotely functional. Next is another simple quality of life improvement, adding a chat option when you're selecting your team for Siege so that you don't have to go back out and check if there was any miscommunications. Too often people go into a defense simultaneously, which can waste someone's attack if internet shenanigans happen. Other times you just happen to attack a defense someone else called before you and you didn't see because you were selecting your team. This should be an easy fix, though it's something I think only higher level guilds really care about. Rift Beast resource imbalance, it's not a huge deal, but would be another quality of life improvement. Having 9,999 of every resource, but needing some additional resource you have 0 of to even be able to use the 9,909 is just silly. Meanwhile, you're farming for the 0, getting rewarded the things you're maxed out on, so you're not really getting rewarded for your farming. Rift Beast should also get with the times and drop minimum 6-star blue runes for triple S scores, just like the B12s do. Com2uS could make the triple S threshold higher if they're concerned with the difficulty being too easy to merit 6-star blue runes. Currently, I think the only players that really have any desire to farm Rift Beast are newer players looking for fight and determination sets for BJ5, Jakaru, or a solo raids team. Buffing the rates and rifts would help these new players make their teams faster so they could begin farming effectively sooner, which in theory would keep their attention. The next one I heard from someone and really liked, it's the ability to preset skill order usage on Siege and Guild War defenses for X turns, maybe 2 to 3, before the RNG actually kicks in. I think that's another thing Com2uS probably would never do, but it would add another massive layer to theory crafting your Siege defenses and unlock the usage of monsters with good kits but garbage AIs. There's quite a few monsters that have potentially strong kits for Siege, but their AI is just pathetic, so they don't see any play. Other monsters that do see play still can have bad AI, and often turn 1 is important in today's meta, so if the defense derps, then you're just handing the offense a free win, which is just silly, and this would be a means of fixing that. Next is to improve customer service. I'm blessed to never have to deal with the horror stories I've heard over the years, but I guess it's just a thing with big companies and having bad service.
Hi, is there a problem here?
But sucking less in this area is obviously a good thing. My main concern is about account security, which has historically been bad with Com2uS. Make sure you have strong passwords and be careful who you share information with. Lastly, I think more collaboration events like the Street Fighter one to potentially get new players into the game is a great thing. I might be in the minority there, but anything to get new people engaged and interested in the game is a huge plus in my eyes. Or old players that lost interest, but something that regains their interest. There's tons more that are being suggested at Com2uS left and right all the time, like the 250 plus comments on the Childish video, and I'd love to hear any other updates or improvements y'all can think of. I think the more ideas thrown out there for Com2uS to hopefully see and consider is a great thing. So even if you think your idea is unpopular, who cares? Let me and the rest of the player base know what it is, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Any other implements? Fuck the hell the shit did I just say?